I had been avoiding it for weeks. Not in a loud, obvious way, not in the kind of way you would notice and call out. It was subtle, small things, quiet habits, like skipping past my banking app every time I unlocked my phone, like telling myself, I'll check it later, like opening Instagram instead, or emails, or literally anything that felt easier. It wasn't that I didn't care, it was that I already knew. And sometimes knowing something without confirming it feels safer than seeing it in front of you in numbers, because numbers don't lie. And I wasn't sure I was ready for the truth yet. The breakup had already taken so much out of me. Emotionally, I felt drained. Mentally, I felt like I was rebuilding from scratch. But what I hadn't fully allowed myself to process was how much my life had been structured around us. Not just emotionally, practically, financially. And that morning, there was this quiet shift in the air. Nothing dramatic, no panic, no tears, just a stillness. The kind that makes you pause without knowing exactly why. I woke up and didn't reach for my phone immediately like I usually did. I just lay there for a second, staring at the ceiling, thinking about nothing, but feeling everything. There was this weight in my chest, not heavy enough to break me, but present enough that I couldn't ignore it anymore. I got up slowly, walked to the kitchen, made coffee, but even that felt different, like I was moving through something I hadn't memed yet. I sat down on the edge of my bed with my mug in my hand, and that's when it hit me. Not in words, but in awareness. You've been avoiding something. I picked up my phone, unlocked it, and there it was, that app, sitting exactly where it always had been. Nothing had changed, except me. My thumb hovered over it, paused, and in that moment, I realized something uncomfortable. I wasn't avoiding my bank account, I was avoiding responsibility. Because as long as I didn't look, I could keep telling myself that everything was still okay, that I still had time, that things would somehow figure themselves out. But deep down, I knew that wasn't true, because the reality was, Spencer was gone. There was no shared life anymore, no shared responsibility, no silent sense of we'll figure it out together. It was just me now, and that changes everything. I stared at my phone for a few more seconds, long enough to feel the resistance rise in me, the urge to lock it and put it down, to distract myself, to delay it just one more time. Because that's what avoidance does. It convinces you that later is safer than now. But later always comes, and when it does, it's heavier, more real, more unavoidable. I took a deep breath, held it, then let it out slowly. And for a second, I had a choice, close the phone or face it. And in that exact moment, something shifted inside me. Not confidence, not courage, just honesty. The kind that doesn't feel powerful, the kind that feels necessary. Because for the first time, this wasn't about heartbreak anymore. It wasn't about what he did or how things ended. This was about me, my life, my independence, or the lack of it. And I think that's what scared me the most. Not the number I was about to see, but what it would mean, what it would say about how I had been living, what it would expose. My thumb moved slightly, then stopped again, one last hesitation. Because once I opened it, I wouldn't be able to go back to pretending, and I knew that. But I also knew something else. Avoiding it wasn't protecting me, it was keeping me stuck, and I didn't want to be stuck anymore. So I took another breath, steadier this time, and I tapped the screen. The app opened, and just like that, there was no more hiding. The number didn't shock me, and that was the part that unsettled me the most, because if I'm honest, I had already calculated it in my head, in fragments, in passing thoughts, in quiet moments I didn't want to admit were real. I just hadn't sat down and faced it, not properly, not like this. The screen loaded slowly, or maybe it just felt that way because my mind had already started racing ahead of it. And then it was there, clear, still, unapologetic. My balance. No drama, no warning, no emotion, just numbers. And I stared at it,
not blinking, not reacting, just taking it in.
It wasn't empty, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't strong. And that distinction, that's where everything changed. Because there's something very dangerous about having just enough. Just enough to cover your bills, just enough to maintain your lifestyle, just enough to not feel immediate pressure, but not enough to feel safe, not enough to feel secure, not enough to feel in control. And I realized in that moment, that's exactly where I was, living in the comfort of just enough and mistaking it for stability. I sat there, phone still in my hand, and I started doing what I had avoided for so long. I started thinking, properly thinking, not the kind of thinking that stays on the surface, but the kind that goes deeper, that asks uncomfortable questions, that doesn't allow you to romanticize your situation. I opened another tab, my expenses, rent, utilities, food, subscriptions I barely used, little things that didn't seem like much until they all sat next to each other. And suddenly, it wasn't little anymore. It was real. I started adding things up in my head. Then I stopped because I didn't want to guess anymore. I wanted clarity. So I opened my notes app and I started writing. Monthly income, monthly expenses, everything, line by line, no filters, no adjustments, just truth. And the more I wrote, the quieter I became. Not because I was overwhelmed, but because I was seeing my life clearly for the first time. No distractions, no emotional noise, just facts. And the facts were simple. I was maintaining a life, not building one. And that hit me in a way I didn't expect, because for so long I thought I was doing okay. I thought I was independent. I thought I was fine. But fine is deceptive. Fine doesn't protect you. Fine doesn't grow you. Fine keeps you in the same place, just comfortable enough not to question it. And I had been living in fine until now. I looked back at the numbers, adjusted nothing, changed nothing, just looked. And then a thought crossed my mind that made my chest tighten slightly. If something went wrong, what would I do? Not in a dramatic, worst-case scenario way, just realistically. If my income stopped, if an unexpected expense came up, if life did what life does, what would I fall back on? And the answer? There wasn't one. Not a solid one, not a structured one, just assumptions, just hope. And that's when it hit me. I hadn't built a safety net. I had been standing on one I didn't even realize was there. A shared life, a shared responsibility, a shared cushion. And now that it was gone, I could feel the absence of it, clearly, fully. And for the first time, I understood something in a way I never had before. Independence isn't about earning money. It's about what happens when you're the only one responsible for it, when there's no one else to balance it out, no one else to soften the impact, no one else to share the weight. It's just you and your decisions and your discipline and your reality.